The Archer and Pine Podcast, featuring stories about Black artisans, designers, and creators.
And welcome to the Archer and Pine Podcast. My guest today, Justin Porchia. I like that, man. Everybody wants a Porsche. From Beard Organics. What's up, Dustin?
Hey, what's up, Mark? How you doing?
Man, it's a pleasure to have you on our platform. I'm so excited, man. And so, man, tell us about Beard Organics. Tell us about your baby, man. How did you birth it? Have you always been an entrepreneur? How did it come about?
Well, Beard Organics came about really through years of me going through, lack of better words, trials and tribulations with my facial hair. So I started growing my beard out, I would say back in 2010, 2011. And during those times, I don't believe beard oils or beard care was like a focal point as far as like, the general public goes. And so I had no idea of what to use for my facial hair. I mean, one day I was shaving all the time, lining myself up. I had a goatee, went from a goatee to like stubble / 5 o'clock shadow. And whenever that would happen, I would just shave it. But the common problem I had, which is something that's common amongst a lot of Black men in general, is, shaving and dealing with ingrown hairs and razor bumps and things of that nature. And that's something I had an issue with as well. I'm known to have like sensitive skin. I go to a dermatologist regularly. I use certain products that won't irritate my skin. So, for example, like my washing detergent, I will use stuff with no dye, no chemicals, because it'll break me out. Certain metals break me out and so forth. So when it came to my beard and facial hair, the thing I would do was I would shave and I would go just pick up some product, in that dark, lonely aisle in Walgreens, the ethnic aisle, pretty much, where you see the do-rags and the sporting waves and all that crap. And so you picked up some stuff called like skin patrol, bump patrol, something like that. And I would use that on my face when I shaved so that I wouldn't get these ingrown hairs and these razor bumps, thinking that I was helping my skin. But as I did further research, as the years went along, I would start growing my beard out because I got tired of shaving, because I would still use these products and I would still get razor bumps. And the skin of my face would just be irritated. It wouldn't be doing well. And I was like, man, there has to be a solution to this. I can't keep shaving, obviously, because I keep, the facial hair keeps growing thicker and thicker. And now I'm going to grow this beard because I don't feel like shaving no more. So the first time I grew my beard out, I didn't know that there was a thing like beard care or beard maintenance. So I would just use whatever I use on my hair. And back then I would use like Luster's pink oil, pink lotion, something like that. And I would just put it in my beard. I wouldn't think no different of it. I would think, well, I put it in my hair. I could put this in my beard. Same thing. And although it helped a bit, it wasn't necessarily the right thing to use for my face, is what I learned later on down the line. So I went through these ups and downs of growing my beard out when it wasn't popular. People thought I looked like, a terrorist or, a homeless guy, or I've heard all these different comments and stuff. And back then, I was a bit insecure about it. So honestly, I shaved it. I was like, well, I'm just going to keep the goatee, keep my mustache. And it didn't strike, a chord with me until I would say my niece. When my niece was born in 2014, 2015, I actually decided to, just start growing my beard out and just keep it. By this time, the trend of beards was already picking up. People were okay with, keeping their beards, not shaving all the time. It was becoming a debate. You started seeing it more and more on social media, different articles and so forth. So I decided to grow my beard, and I knew that I wasn't going to keep putting pink oil lotion in my hair. And at this time, I was also looking more into more holistic approaches dealing with just health and wellness in general. I had a couple of health scares a few years back, and I started looking more into like natural and more alternative approaches just to what I put in my body, what I put on my skin, things of that nature. And I came across learning more about coconut oil. And so what I would do is I would just take a jar of like coconut oil and, rub it in my hands and start putting it in my beard. And I noticed that not only did my beard start feeling softer and more, it had more of a shine, but the days I wouldn't use it, it would still retain that moisture. It would still retain that shine. And just a quick background about me, I'm a bit of like a experimental guy. I'm a tinkerer. I mess around with stuff. I'm an engineer. I do, website development, things like that. So I'm always experimenting with different ideas. And so I was thinking like, okay, this stuff about beard oil that I'm reading about, this coconut oil is working pretty good. Let me look and see if there's maybe some beard oil products that have coconut oil in it. And at that time, I would go on the web and look and search, and I would find these couple of these brands who sold beard oils, which at this time it was maybe only 2 or 3 that was the most popular. And some of these sites I would go to, the main problem I had was, one, I didn't know or I could trust if the content they were putting in their bottles was either made by themselves or was it made in a factory. And another thing was the advertising. A lot of the marketing just didn't show people that looked like me and had the same problems or struggles I had as far as dealing with facial hair. There wasn't a lot of that. And those 2 things sparked an idea with me, just out the blue. And I was like, well, let me try making my own oils because I don't trust what I'm seeing on the internet. Let me look and see if I can figure out how to make my own beard oil recipes. And so I spent, a weekend just researching how to make your own beard oils, learning about the different types of ingredients that go in there, learning about carrier oils such as jojoba oil and grapeseed oil and argan, aka Moroccan gold, learning about avocado oil, learning about different essential oils and the benefits that they have. And what I did is I ended up making my first formula concoction, which was my coconut lime blend. So what I did is I, took some coconut oil, mixed it up with some different formulas of jojoba oil and other oils that I picked up, and made my own personal, bottle of beard oil. So they're using that. Friends would come along and they would compliment me on my beard, ask me what did I use, and I would tell them, well, yeah, I make my own mixtures. I put it on my beard. And a couple of my friends were like, you know what? I would buy that. I mean, let me get a bottle of what you use. And I would just give them like this little bottles I bought from Walmart that I would just mix the concoction and put it in there and give it to them for free. And it got to the point where I was like, well, let me try seeing if I can sell this. At this time, I was being inspired by my brother named Jay Jones, who's out in Philly. He runs a podcast called Black Entrepreneur Blueprint. And I was a faithful listener to his podcast. I still am. And I noticed that we both had a similar liking to a particular person, Dr. Claude Anderson. And Dr. Claude Anderson taught about powernomics.
Yes.
And one of the main things about powernomics that struck me was controlling the vertical, building your own product and being in control of that, controlling as much of that process as you can so that you have complete ownership of your product. He told a story about how his family had a bus line and they provided busing service during the 50s and 60s. And he talked about how that affected his family's business during the civil rights era and when desegregation happened. It affected his business. And he talked about how if you own the control of vertical, no one can step in your space and take that from you. Another thing that struck a chord with me is the way he talked about Black Wall Street, which is another thing that attracted me to Archer and Pine was, you got a story about Black Wall Street and so forth. And I'm a firm believer in just controlling your vertical. I mean, my mom always told me that I was just the type of guy that will always figure out how to do something on my own. I didn't like working for people per se. It wasn't because I didn't want to work for them. It was just, I felt like I could do better. And if I seen something that made me feel like they wasn't running it properly and I could do better, to me, that was a sign like it was time to go. It was time for me to go do my own thing or go somewhere else where I feel like it could be done. So that's that's really how Beard Organic got started, was just my own passion, inspirations from Dr. Claude Anderson and others, and just wanting to control my vertical and have my own product.
I love it, man. And that spirit definitely would feel trapped in a job situation, you know? And so you definitely don't have no time for that, my friend. I think, so let me ask you this, Destin. Like, a lot of people have dreams of doing the vertical and controlling, but I think also people get stuck on the comfort of that check when you work, a 9 to 5. Is there, a middle ground, or how have you navigated that as an entrepreneur?
Man, so I have a long story about that. I'm going to try to give you like the short version. As you see, I'm a bit long-winded. I like to kind of talk about the story and the process of how things are put together.
And I think that's great, though, because that makes people, I think that inspires sales. Go ahead.
Right. And, so my view on that, in the beginning, and I say the beginning to me, meaning that when I first started Beard Organics, the way I started this company was I started it on a very small scale. So what I learned from Dr. Claude Anderson is, when you want to control this vertical, you're not going to be able to control every aspect of it in the beginning. You have to work your way up. So I was looking at, I had 3 different ideas before I started Beard Organics. It was either create a beard oil, create jewelry, or sell another type of product. Now, this other type of product was something that I didn't have no real control over the vertical of it. It was more like a vape pen. So it was a deal I had with a partner who would resell these products to me, and then I would sell them online. That one went out the window real quick. The next idea was making handmade jewelry. Now, I tried to make jewelry over a weekend, and I realized how much time it took and how difficult it was to do it yourself. And I realized, like, okay, this isn't, even though it's something I'm passionate about, like, I love handmade jewelry. I love bracelets, wooden jewelry, necklaces. I'm into stones and gems and things of that nature. So I still have a passion for it. Mm-hmm. But I realized that if I wanted to control that type of vertical, it would require a lot more manpower in the beginning. And so that left me with beard oil. And as I did more research on beard oils, I realized that, man, I could actually make these products with oils and ingredients that I can buy from Sprouts or Whole Foods or some, holistic oil shop. I didn't have to have any complicated machinery or tools or things of that nature. And I literally made 10 bottles in my kitchen, over a weekend, and built a website in 24 hours just to test the product out. So, and then within a week, I sold those 10 bottles, and that was enough validation for me to continue moving forward with iterating on top of that idea. And when I started this process, I was working a job, but it wasn't a job that it was really soul crushing, and it was taking a lot from me emotionally and physically. It was physically making me sick. So I ended up leaving that job, and I was in a relationship at that time, and the person that I was with was supporting me up until a certain point, and a lot of things happened. The relationship didn't work out, and I ended up not only with this new business, but now I didn't have a job because I quit my job to actually pursue this business. So I didn't have a job, I didn't have an income, and I had to rely on the income of what I was making with Beard Organics. So this was last year was when I started the business. So I literally spent half of last year homeless while actually building up the business, which was at first kind of scary, but as the time went along, I was actually more happy that I was pursuing it in this way, because for one, it showed me, and I was the type of guy who was a bit pacified by a paycheck. To be honest, I grew up being taught that you go to school, you do good in school, you go to college, you get a career, you work and you retire. you start a family, and so forth.
Right.
So this is what I was taught. And I'm from the Midwest. I'm from St. Louis, so it was more of like a Midwestern value.
Mm-hmm.
And the people I was around, they were inspiring me to do this because of the things I was seeing was the opposite of that. So in my mind, it was like, I have to go to school. I have to go get a career. I have to go get a job, a 9 to 5, and I have to stay in that lane. I never thought about entrepreneurship until years ago when I started discovering Dr. Clark Anderson and Jay Jones and others. And it kind of struck a chord with me because I always felt like I can do my own thing, but I never knew, or honestly, I never had the confidence to step out and do it. I dabble with little stuff here and there. I used to be a music producer, so I had a couple of music websites where I sold drum kits and beats and things of that nature. But there was nothing where I felt like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do all my life. I'm not gonna have a career on the side or nothing like that. And so it's a lot of up and downs. I will say right now, I'm doing freelance web work. So in a way, I do have a 9 to 5 still. So my viewpoint has changed quite a bit from when I was like gun ho and saying, I'm just going to quit my job, not do anything but focus on this business. What I learned real quick is you need capital to grow. And if you don't have the capital, you're going to end up tapping into what your business is making just so you can survive, which is what I did. Now, thankfully, that first year of running Beard Organics was profitable and it kept me afloat. So this year, I was able to pick up contract work and keep myself afloat. But I also noticed that my business actually, the income increased because I was able to sustain myself, my living expenses, without tapping into my business expenses. So I would say one big tip for anybody that's thinking about or really considering stepping out on their own, don't quit your job. Like there's a lot of people saying, quit your job, just do it, whatever. My only advice is if you're going to quit your job like that, I would say make sure you have nobody dependent on you if you're going to really do it. Because if you have anybody dependent on you and you leave a financially stable situation, you're not only causing issues with yourself, but the people that are relying on you as well.
Man.
So it's more of a selfish thing to do. So if you quit your job and you have people dependent on you, it's more of a selfish act, in my opinion. So now I understand that you have to take care of your living expenses and not touch your business expenses while you're growing. Now, this is something I learned the hard way. I didn't have any mentors. I don't have any immediate family members that are entrepreneurs or anything of that nature. So I learned this the hard way, and that's one lesson I do want to share.
Well, Dustin, that's a huge lesson, man, and we appreciate that. We're so excited to have you a part of Archer and Pine, and you are keeping it real, my brother. And that's those hard lessons, though, they are very valuable because you never forget them.
No, you never do, man. I mean, and as far as keeping it real, man, it's just really being transparent. Like I don't really have much to hide about, my business. I mean, Beard Organics is a one-man show. It's me making the formulas, designing the graphics, building the website, doing the promotion, sending the emails, following up the stuff, packaging it, shipping it, talking to the customers. It's all me. And it's I also run a couple of other side projects on the side of this as well. And so it's humbling and it's also exciting at the same time because it taught me that you have to have patience. It taught me that you have to really think in the mind of your customers and what they want, not just what you want. A lot of people, I feel like when they see entrepreneurship, they see it as this sexy, glamorous thing. And in my opinion, it's quite lonely and it's quite frustrating and challenging, but I love it. Like this is just, I wouldn't rather have it any other way. Like it's something that I wouldn't change, but I know most people, they say they want this, they don't want it. They don't really want it. Like,
Justin is
you don't
bringing
really want this unless you gotta go through this stuff, and it's not easy. Like you're going to go through these ups and downs, and if you don't have the stomach or the heart for it, it will break you.
I love it. I love that, man. The realest we've ever had, Dustin and Beard Organics. Man, if people want to reach you, what's the best way to get you?
The best way to reach me, in pertaining to beard questions, beard organics, two ways. I'm primarily on Instagram, so if you DM me on Instagram, I will respond back. Anybody that's gotten DMs from me, comments from Beard Organics, that's all me. So I know some people, I've had people comment and ask me like, hey, are you actually a black business? I'm like, yep, I'm the owner, I'm the founder, my picture is on the website. You can go see me. I have nothing to hide. Like, I run this business, this is all me. And another way to reach me is through email. hello@beardorganics.com, or you can reach me directly at dustin@beardorganics.com.
Archer and Pine, circulating the black dollar since 1921. Go to archerpine.com now.